Technically speaking.
Welcome to our Technically Untechnical Technology Talk,
a NIWC Atlantic production,
and an award-winning podcast with your hosts, Chelsie Holloway and Alex Jackson.
Alex, how are you doing? How are things down in Charleston?
Things are going well, Chelsie. How about you?
Good. So the latest news on my home front is we, as a family, got little chicks. We bought little chicks this spring and are excited. They're already turning into little teenagers and will be out in their coops soon. And my 3-year-old and my husband have been loving that.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
It's going to be good when they start laying eggs, too. Save us a little money.
And here in my world, I recently was hanging out with some friends and actually raced one of them who was using a one wheel, and he raced me in my power wheelchair, and so we had a lot of fun out in the parking lot.
Did you win?
I actually did win, yes. So it was a fun little challenge, and I was amazed at how fast the one wheels could go as well. So that was pretty cool to see.
All right, let's jump into this episode. So we are taking you back to March. We've got a recap of one of the largest events hosted by NIWC Atlantic every year, the System of Systems Naval Integration Experiment, or SoSNIE, which was basically a high-level wartime readiness experiment solely focused on naval technology. The 4-day event took place between March 17th to 20th.
Coming up, we've got on-the-ground interviews from participants from this year's SoSNIE event. Then I speak with Lieutenant Chase Meeks for our military moment about his career in the Navy and why he chose to serve. So you know what time it is. Let's get comfy, turn up that volume, and let's get started.
We've got a fun format for you this episode, field interviews. Everyone you will hear from talking about SoSNIE, we spoke with in the field and in real time. But before we jump in, here are some common terms within the defense technology space that are used in their answers that you may or may not know. First up, we've got system. This can refer to a type of software, a piece of hardware, a digital program, or even a unique technological communication method. Then we've got the term threads or mission threads. This is a term that's used to describe different scenarios where systems are needed to realize an operational use case. And then S&T and R&D are mentioned, and AKA that's science and technology and research and development.
First up, we hear from Ashley Landreth, NIWC Atlantic's Expeditionary Warfare Department Head.
So every year we just try to grow with our number of systems that are participating, all with the end in mind of focusing on naval integration mission threads. As we advance to more of a great power competition environment, the need for the tri-service maritime strategy, Marine Corps, Navy, Coast Guard, all being one naval service is that much more important. So we are focused on those threads that address interoperability gaps across those 3 services. And so just the more systems that we have out here to experiment with and identify those interoperability gaps, the better. So if we were to go into a conflict scenario, how would we take the existing systems that we have today and how would they work when they're integrated across the joint force? Focusing on this type of events and addressing these interoperability gaps with our engineering change proposals at the program office or just having resultant S&T and R&D ideas that come from this event for the longer term are the 2 outputs that we hope to get every year, but every year we get higher threat posture with our adversaries, and so every year this event is that much more important. What we are designed to do is focus on the mission, and so it's really just a good time to get everybody out in the field, understanding what their systems are supposed to do and can do, and then taking that to the next level of working with their partners within the organization. We invite our program office to, and all of the POR systems that we support for the program office, and then we have several other external partnerships with the Army National Guard and the Apache helicopter, with the Joint Base and the C-17s that are provided, but we just really reach out across the Naval Research and Development enterprise with the different warfare centers and labs and see what mission threads that they would find of value.
So at the end there, Ashley touched on the different aircraft and who was involved in SoSNIE this year. So here are a couple more stats to shed some light on the scale of this experiment. Approximately 45 systems were tested using 4 unmanned surface vessels, 5 unmanned aerial systems, and various manned aircraft, which included a U.S. Army AH-64E Apache V-6 attack helicopter from McEntire Joint National Guard Base, and a C-17A Globemaster from the 437th Airlift Wing at Joint Base Charleston. In total, the event had about 240 active participants and attendees, including several military distinguished visitors. Whew, that's a lot.
That is a lot. Next up, we hear from Jason Brooks, NIWC Atlantic's SoSNIE technical lead. But first, here are some more terms to add to your repertoire. Validation. This is the process systems undergo to determine whether the technology meets the requirements of its users and its environment. The next term is coalition partners, which is referring to the numerous countries the Navy collaborates with to enhance maritime security and interoperability.
So this year at SoSNIE, we're really looking at this aspect of any sensor, any shooter. So we're focused on being able to have this tactical data link and then share that information with all the different team awareness kits and our Federation hub for that, so that we can bring all that information together and share it again with all the teams. This year, we've got a number of systems that are able to pick up their full motion video and metadata, and they've been able to verify that for their JITIC certifications, for instance. And then we're also looking at expanding that Link 16 network to coalition partners and our joint partners and share that information across that tactical data network, and then be able to provide decision quality information to all our coalition partners. What we do here in SoSNIE, we create an environment where the engineers have a lot of capability and the environment to try out different things that they wouldn't normally do. They're able to validate it here, and then that may become a requirement that helps out the warfighter in the future. We provide the environment, but you can meet whatever objectives you want to meet without worrying about like an exercise scenario where everything is scripted, for instance. You can come out here, you can work at your own pace. We've even got unmanned surface vehicles out in the water. They're acting as targets for all these systems, so they go and find them and pass that targeting information on. So I think going forward, we want to maintain this open atmosphere, this environment for the engineers, so that the projects can meet their objectives and also have all that flexibility. But I think we also need to, on top of that, lay down some more scenarios so that we can now take it to the next level, where we're looking at objectives that cross multiple projects, so that it shows maybe a certain flow. But what I think we need to be more intentional about that going forward in the future, and that we can create these objectives across all of SoSNIE and meet higher level objectives that might be useful to the warfighter.
Ashley and Jason provided the background and importance of the event. Now let's hear from both an engineer and an active duty military member to get their perspective. First, Valerie Plusinski, she's a NIWC Atlantic engineer. Then Sergeant Evan Pelabello, a U.S. Marine Corps Data Systems Administrator, touches on the importance of these experiments for the lethality of the warfighter.
We have the Gotham sticks out here that we're experimenting with. They are the Gatekeeper on the Move Space Truncated Identity Collection systems. They are an biometric access control capability. We do face, finger, and iris recognition that we match against. And so we're out here taking enrollments and operating an ECP, an entry control point. So we're essentially holding the access list for this event. SoSNIE gives us the opportunity to come out here and prove our technology out and make sure that we're adding value both to our project and to the warfighter. So far, I think the biggest takeaway for us is that we can interface with more projects we thought possible even 2 months ago.
We found the experiment useful. Like for our end, it's just like we get to see a lot of how like Navy, Marine Corps, Army, how all those systems like kind of integrate with each other, right? At the end of the day, it's for like command and control, right? We want to get like all the information down to the warfighter so they can fight, right? And win the wars.
We cover this event every year, Alex, and it never gets old. It's always so impressive to see how much it grows.
Yes, this was the 7th year of SoSNIE, and I'm excited to see the scale of the experiments for year 8. Now let's switch gears just a little and jump into this episode's military moment. I spoke with Lieutenant Chase Meeks, who told me about his time in the Navy and advice he would give to someone interested in joining the military.
So currently I do project engineer for the SOIS, Special Operations, ISR Solutions, IPT, working on the Naval Special Warfare Combatant Craft, particularly the Combatant Craft Medium and Combatant Craft Heavy in terms of different systems that we're putting on board, the actual operation mission environment they use as the operators, the SWCs, to actually drive the vessels themselves.
And how long have you been in the Navy?
So I'm coming up on 9 years in the Navy. In June of this year. Previously, I was a surface warfare officer for about 5 years, serving on 2 different ships and 2 different coasts, and did some combat deployments during that time. And now I'm currently an engineering duty officer here on my first tour, finishing up this last couple years working at NIWC Atlantic.
What kind of advice would you give to someone who's maybe interested in joining the Navy or the military?
So the biggest advice I would give is to take every opportunity you can to learn and develop yourself, not only in an academic sense, but more leadership sense. And as you grow up, or maybe you're looking at going into the military now, I think that the biggest thing is being a people person and being able to interact with individuals and learning how to connect and make relationships that can drive you and others to do better throughout the next generation of naval operators.
And what has been one of your favorite locations that you've been to or tours that you've been on?
First tour in the Navy, I was stationed out in San Diego on the USS America, and I actually was able to go out on its maiden deployment with them in support of Operation Enduring Freedom and some of the different interactions we had over there in the Middle East and in the Arabian Gulf. And then also probably my favorite place I've been on since I've been in the Navy was up to Fleet Week, New York City on the USS New York as the anti-terrorism officer, being a very heartfelt type moment of kind of full circle of 9/11 and things like that were kind of some of the driving force that helped me to make the decision to join the Navy to begin with. Kind of going up there with the ship that was partially built out of the Twin Towers, a really cool, unique experience that you don't often get in the Navy.
That is really an amazing experience. What was the reason why you wanted to join the Navy?
Ever since I was a kid, I just had an overarching sense of service and wanting to help and be a part of a team, as well as serving a bigger purpose. So to me, the mission set and the reason behind why we do what we do is kind of the main thing that drives me and continues to make me wake up every day and put the uniform on.
Well, thank you so much for your service, and thank you for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you.
Sounds like it was a good chat, Alex. He does some pretty cool work. So he's basically making vessels drive themselves, right? He's working on the future of Navy engineering, I would say, this autonomous sea craft.
Yes, he's doing great things for the Navy.
It has been a great episode, a full episode, lots of interesting facts that we've gotten to share to our audience.
We brought our listeners some field interviews, which we've never done before. Chelsea, it's time to read us out.
You got it. To learn more about anything we've mentioned in the podcast, check out our social medias under NAVWAR or our NIWC Atlantic website. Links are in the description.
This wraps up another great episode. Thanks for listening. If you have a tip or story that you think should be included in this podcast, please contact us at our public affairs email address, which is listed in the description.
Naval Information Warfare Center Atlantic, also known as NIWC, is the East Coast branch of the Naval Information Warfare Systems Command within the Department of the Navy. We develop a range of technologies that provide state-of-the-art capabilities to the United States military.